Okay, so let's picture this. You're standing there in front of a perfectly blank canvas. You're excited, you've got this amazing idea just buzzing in your head, and then bam, you hit the first and honestly, maybe the biggest decision of your entire painting journey. Which paint do you even use? Today, we're going to settle the great debate for every new artist out there: acrylics versus oils.
And hey, this isn't just some small technical choice. The paint you pick right here, right now, it's going to shape your whole creative process. It's going to influence how you work, what your finished piece looks like, and you know what? It'll probably decide how much fun you have doing it.
I totally get it. Walking into an art store can feel, well, a little overwhelming. But don't you worry. By the time we're done here, you are going to have a super clear idea of which of these paints is the perfect partner for you and your art. All right, let's do this. Let's put them head to head. We're going to break this whole thing down by asking 5 simple but absolutely crucial questions that every beginner needs to answer before they squeeze out that first drop of paint. First up, let's talk about you. Think about your personality, your pace. Are you the kind of person who works fast, makes decisions, and just goes for it? Or do you like to take your time, step back, and really think things through? Because this is where these two paints are complete opposites. Acrylics, they're the sprinters. They dry in minutes. That's awesome for layering, but it also means if the phone rings, that beautiful color you just mixed on your palette, it could be a useless little plastic hockey puck by the time you get back. Oils, on the other hand, they're the marathon runners. They are so forgiving, staying wet for days sometimes. You can literally walk away, make a sandwich, and come back to paint that's still ready to go. Now, that drying time, it has a massive impact on your artistic style. If you love bold, graphic art with really clean, sharp edges, acrylics are going to be your new best friend. But if you're dreaming of those super soft, seamless blends you see in classical portraits, well, trying to do that with fast-drying acrylics can be seriously frustrating. Oils are the undisputed king of blending. But there's a catch. Because everything stays wet for so long, it's really easy to accidentally mix colors on the canvas when you don't mean to, creating what artists call mud, that kind of dull, brownish color you were trying to avoid. Okay, here's a subtle thing that trips up so many beginners: color shift. Have you ever mixed the perfect color with acrylics, you put it on the canvas, and then you watch it dry a shade or two darker? That happens because the liquid binder in the paint is a milky white color when it's wet, but it dries totally clear. It's a little quirk you just have to learn to account for. Oils don't do that. What you see is what you get, at least for now. But they have a long-term secret. Over many, many years, the linseed oil in the paint slowly yellows. That's actually what gives all those old masterpieces that famous, warm, golden glow. And look, don't just take my word for it. As these university researchers point out, that yellowing isn't a mistake or a flaw. It's just an unavoidable part of what oil paint is. It's part of the bargain you make when you decide to paint with oils. What about texture? Do you love those thick, sculptural brushstrokes that literally stand up off the canvas? Think of a Van Gogh painting. That technique is called impasto, and acrylics are fantastic for it. They dry into this flexible plastic, so you can just pile on the paint and it won't crack. Now, you can use oils thickly too, but a really heavy application might take months, or believe it or not, even years to fully cure. To get around that, painters will often mix in a special drying medium to speed things up. And finally, we come to maybe the most practical question of all: where are you actually going to be painting? If you're in a small apartment, a dorm room, or just a shared space without a ton of airflow, acrylics are the clear, easy choice. They barely have a smell, and you clean up with just soap and water. It's so simple. Oils, on the other hand, well, they require chemical solvents like turpentine or mineral spirits to thin the paint and to clean your brushes. And those solvents come with some pretty powerful fumes and some very real safety rules. Which brings us to a topic that is just so important. If you're starting to lean towards oils, you absolutely have to understand that this choice comes with some safety rules that are not optional. This isn't just about making art anymore. This is about protecting your health and your home. And this chart, wow, it really says it all. It measures something called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs for short. That's basically the scientific name for the harmful fumes that get released into the air. Just look at the massive bars for traditional oil solvents like turpentine and even the so-called odorless mineral spirits. Now compare that to the teeny tiny little bar for a water-based acrylic product. The difference is just staggering. This is exactly why artists say good ventilation isn't a suggestion for oil painting, it's an absolute must. But it's not just the fumes you need to think about. You know what the #1 cause of fires is in an oil painter's studio? It's something most beginners would never, ever guess. It's the rags, the paper towels you use for cleanup. See, linseed oil doesn't dry like water evaporates. It hardens through a chemical reaction called oxidation, and that reaction creates its own heat. So if you take those oily rags and just wad them up in a trash can, all that heat gets trapped. It builds and builds and builds until the rags can literally burst into flames all by themselves. No spark needed. It's called spontaneous combustion, and it's terrifyingly real. To prevent it, you must lay your oily rags out completely flat to dry. Once they're totally stiff and dry, you store them in a special sealed metal container. This is not optional. It is a critical safety step. And there are a few other rules you just gotta live by. Always, always have fresh air. Never, ever use solvents to clean your hands. Use soap and water. The solvent can pull toxins right through your skin. Wear gloves if you have any cuts, keep everything away from heat sources, and please don't eat or drink while you're working with this stuff. Whew, okay, deep breath. I know that was a lot to take in, but now you have the full picture. You get the fun, creative differences, and you also get the serious, practical responsibilities that come with each one. You're ready to make a really smart choice. So let's just boil it all down right here. If you want speed, if you want super easy cleanup and tons of flexibility, acrylics are calling your name. If you crave those beautiful, subtle blends and you're prepared to deal with a more complex process and some serious safety rules, then oils are probably for you. Oh, and that fat over lean rule? It's a classic oil painting rule that just means you make sure each new layer of paint has a little more oil in it than the one underneath. It's what keeps old paintings from cracking. So really, the choice boils down to what matters most to you, your art and your space. So there you have it. The big secret is that the choice isn't about which paint is better. It's about which paint is better for you. You've got all the info now. You can pick your medium with total confidence. So the only real question left is, what are you going to create first?